All right, let's go to the instructions page or portion. It says draw a double bar graph that compares oil production and oil consumption between different countries. Then answer the accompanying questions. So turn over to the back of that page. You will notice that you should have a table very similar to the one that you see in front in the video. It says oil and energy consumption and production. Notice again, consumption means what we consume, what we use up. Production means what we make, produce. Okay? These are not all the countries that make and use oil, okay? These are just some that I picked. I figure we'll just look at 5 of them. Notice we have Russia, we have United States, we have Canada, Saudi Arabia, which is in Middle East, and China, okay? So we're going to use that data, which is right at top of the back of the page for you, and we're going to create a double bar graph. So here's the grid. Notice it looks very similar to the ones we've done earlier on Thursday and Friday. You do have to be careful that you are doing a double bar graph this time and not a line graph. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is put a title. Notice the box. Again, it tells you to be sure to include the title, the labels, and the key. It's a nice check-off list to make sure that you hit all the things that they want you to answer. So let's talk about the title. What would you like it to be? It could be whatever you want that's related to the problem in hand. In this case, it said that it's oil and energy consumption and production in 2010. If you guys don't mind, because of the fact that it's hard for me to write without being on the smartboard, I'm just going to type that up. But I'm going to say oil and energy use, and I could even say in 2009. Again, yours could be whatever you want as long as it's something related to the content that we're doing. Okay, the next thing we need to do, and because we're done with the title, I'm going to cross that out. The next thing I want to do is the labels, okay? So again, we have to figure out what goes where. Notice those numbers in the table, and again, we're looking at this table right here, which you should have in front of you. And looking at all these numbers, those are all the oil production and the oil consumption. Okay, so really it's just how much oil you have in million barrels per day. So that's what I'm going to type up. And again, bear with me the way I'm doing this. Hopefully this will work. But I'm going to type in oil in million barrels per day. I know it looks like I'm putting it right over, over the graph, but actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it and then I'm going to move it this way. Kind of snazzy thing that I can do because of the fact that it's kind of hard to write on this. All right, the next thing I want to do is put my numbers on this y-axis. Well, I'm looking at my numbers, and if you again look at your grid, you will see that the smallest amount is 2.1. Okay, and what I'm talking about is this number right here. That's the smallest amount. So I definitely want to make sure that my y-axis has 2 in it. And it goes all the way up to 18.8. Okay, so again, we're not going to be too perfect with them because they are decimals, but we just have to get close to it. Just like in science class, sometimes decimals, you just want to get approximately answer. So we're going to go from 2 to 18. Let's see if we can go by ones. To go by ones, I'm just going to say and count by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I don't make it. I'm pretty close, but I don't make it. So I'm going to actually start with 2, and I'm going to go by 2's. Again, the reason why I'm going by 2's is because I cannot make it going by ones. If I go by ones through all these y-axes, I would not get to 18. So I'm going to go by 2's instead. So I have 2, 4, 6. Please make sure you're doing this as I am. 8's always giving me trouble. 8, 10, I could type these up. 12. All right, and continue on until you get to 18. Remember, this video you could always pause, rewind, fast forward, whatever you need to do to make it work for you so that you're able to write down the notes and understand what you're doing. Okay, so on the bottom we would have actually the countries, and within each country we're also going to have the oil production and oil consumption. Okay, so how we're going to break it down with our key is make sure that we have oil consumption and oil production. And because it's not our line graph, we're not going to make things circle or things that are triangles or different shapes. They're all going to be bars, okay? But these bars are going to be either highlighted a certain way or colored a certain way. So I could say that one bar is going to be pretty much like highlighted, all blue or whatever color you want. And that would be my oil production. So I'm going to say, again, it's really hard for me to write, but I could say production. That's a P-R-O-D. P-R-O-D. And then I'm going to have another square. And this one I'm just going to have different lines, like sideways lines. So again, this is more like shaded in all the way, you know. Well, this one just has lines. And this one will be my consumption. And I'm just going to write C-O-N-S, consumption. Okay. Now we have 5 countries. So we're going to start with the first country, which is Russia. So from here until here is going to be Russia. And I'm going to put R-U-S. That should be good. Okay? Actually, now that I'm looking at it, let's try this a little differently. Sorry, guys. I make mistakes even when I'm not with you. Let's put this right here. We'll just move it a little bit over. If you just drew lines, it's okay. Just move it one over. Just so we have enough room. I apologize for that. All right, for Russia, we have, again, 2 lines that we're going to create, or 2 bars. One is the production. If you look at your grid, in Russia, we have 9.9 for production, 2.7 for oil consumption. So for production, I'm going to put my line at 9.9, which is pretty close to 10. So it's going to look like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade it all blue. That probably would take me a little bit of time. So let me see if I can make this just a little easier to color it. There we go. So I'm going to color it all in with blue, or whatever color you want. That's for my production. Now, for my consumption, it says 2.7. So I'm going to go at about 2.7, which is pretty close to a 3, which is about here. And remember, with this one, I'm going to just make lines like that. Okay, so now we notice that for Russia, the production was pretty close to 10, 9.9, and the consumption of oil was 2.7. Now we're going to do the same thing for the other countries. Just remember, because these are bar graphs, we skip space. We skip space between each